I broke into medical device sales out of college with nothing but retail experience, and it completely opened so many doors for me in life. I made anywhere from $180,000 to $230,000 throughout my entire 20s, and I absolutely loved it. And then when I turned 30, I quit. So I get the question a lot, why did you quit if it's so good? So I'm going to shed the truth on exactly why I left the industry. Now, if you're new here, this is the Break Into Medical Device Sales YouTube channel and podcast, the best place for free information pertaining to helping you land your first high-paying role in the world of medical device sales. And if it's like, if it was so great, why'd you leave? And I understand the irony of this. So the answer is actually way less glamorous than you were probably hoping. I assume that if you clicked on this video, you were hoping that I was just going to rip apart the med device industry and talk about all of the gripes and reasons why it's not as great as people make it out to be. So just in efforts to give you some satisfaction, I will break down the three main gripes that I did have working in the med device industry, the three real cons and downsides to it based on my just south of 10 years of experience. But first, let me shed light on why I quit, which is way more anticlimactic than you think. You see, I had childhood dreams of always starting a business, getting into entrepreneurship and doing real estate investing. And quite simply, I just didn't want to die and end up regretting never trying it. So throughout my 20s and being in medical device sales, I was very, very career focused. I was in a totally different mindset at the time. I thought that that was the path that I wanted to be on, that I wanted to ascend the corporate ladder because I saw my family do it. My father was a very successful software sales rep and he ascended in the corporate ladder. So I thought that that was the path that I wanted. But deep down, I always wanted to get into the world of real estate and entrepreneurship. Now, my confidence level coming out of college, however, was pretty low because, like most people in college, I was a total clown. I did not have my stuff together. I didn't really hang out with a good group of people. And I actually didn't even think that I would be able to make multi six-figure income in my lifetime. I mean, I thought I would be, lucky and happy if I got, a regular business analyst job out of college like everyone else making 50, 60 grand a year. I didn't have good social skills. I didn't have good business skills. But I knew that if I got into the world of sales, it would greatly help develop me as a person and a professional and force me to do the things that I thought I was really bad at. So I wanted to get into sales. I tried to get into software sales. I got some offers in software sales, but ultimately I just didn't want to take a role where the pay was really low and it was like just cold calling. And I wanted to do something more face to face with a higher, career runway. And I stumbled upon medical device sales actually after interviewing for pharmaceutical sales rep positions and just finding out what it was all cracked up to be. So without going on a tangent, I eventually worked my way into medical device and it just changed my life completely. And I became so obsessive over my career because it's what I thought I had. It's the only thing that I thought I truly had. So literally for the first, 6 to 8 years in the industry, I just like kept my head down, shut up and worked. I neglected my social life. I mean, not terribly. I mean, I still had a good group of friends. I had a strong relationship with my girlfriend at the time. But the thing is, I just had this tunnel vision of succeeding in my corporate life. So while I eventually did end up making lots of money in corporate, 7, 8 years went by and I looked back and I basically said, I didn't get to do any of the things I really wanted to do. So looking back, this is kind of a stupid decision, but I thought that the ticket to getting the lifestyle that I wanted, which was making the kind of income that I had, as well as getting the freedom that I wanted, was to get into business and entrepreneurship and business opportunities. So a friend of mine from college approached me. We started this big Airbnb portfolio. I took my skills in medical device and built partnerships with investors and property managers, and we built an arbitrage portfolio. And that's honestly what allowed me to quit, because we then took those skills and we wanted to create a coaching business around it. And we wanted to be the whole internet entrepreneur type thing. So we scaled that and we grew it. And then eventually I just quit my corporate job to go all in on the business side. Now, honestly, this spawned a really stressful and chaotic journey where the portfolio didn't do as well as we had hoped that it would do. And then the coaching business, although we grew it and scaled it, I just found that it wasn't really something I wanted to do long term. It didn't really bring me fulfillment or happiness. So then I pivoted once again to starting my own business on my own, which is now Med Device Sales Academy. And honestly, after getting into this world, like, I quickly realized that I gave away something pretty special. Like, I had something really great going for me in the world of medical device because it offered me all of those things that I wanted as an entrepreneur: the ownership, the day-to-day autonomy, the income potential. Like, it was all there. But do I regret starting businesses and pivoting into this world? No, not at all. I never would have known if I didn't try, and I appreciate myself for being bold enough to do so. But that's the non-glamorous answer, guys. That's why I quit. It was simply just because I've always wanted to start a business. But since you came here to get the tea on medical device sales and hear about the potential downsides of med device, I at least want to give you the satisfaction of talking about the three gripes I did have in the medical device industry, just being totally truthful. Now, I want to just set the frame. I do very strongly and passionately believe that the pros significantly outweigh the cons in the medical device world, but let's dive into these really quick. So the first downside of medical device is the windshield time. The thing is this, is medical device sales is a field-based sales position where you are out and about, you're driving, you're not behind a desk, and you travel to your account accounts each day. And I actually see this as a positive. However, depending on the size of your territory and the geography of your territory might be very large, meaning you have a lot of windshield time, a lot of driving. For example, my last territory, I covered the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, everywhere up to Scranton, Pennsylvania, down to Princeton, New Jersey. So all in all, this was about 2.5, 3 hours apart. I live smack dab in the middle. So my days would consist of me waking up in the morning, driving an hour and a half to one side of the territory. I would make my stops, do my rounds. I would bounce around in those areas, and then I'd drive home. So like all in all, I might be on the road for 3 hours a day. And like I'm the type of antsy person where I really want to feel productive and like be doing things rapidly throughout the day. So me being in the car a lot kind of got me annoyed. And even though I appreciated being in the car as opposed to being behind a desk, and of course not every single day I had to travel that much, it still got me antsy. Now, I will say this greatly depends on the company, the product, the territory that you have. If you're in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, in your territory and your customers are 3 hours apart, I mean, yeah, you're going to be on the road a lot. But if you're in Manhattan, like you could just take public transit and you're 10, 15 minutes from most of your accounts. Sometimes, depending on the company and the product, your territories are so small, you just have to cover 2 or 3 hospitals, and it's actually very quick to bounce between your territory. So this really is not the case with everything in medical device sales at all. But if there was one area that did kind of burn me out a little bit, it was the travel time. The last thing I'll say about this was I was a top performer. I am not the type of guy that pursued medical device because I wanted to come home and golf at noon. Now, there are many, many people in medical device that do that. They get away with it. They still make great money. I wasn't that guy. I really did want to perform and achieve and be on the leaderboards. So I traveled a little bit more than the average person. So the next gripe, the next downside I have in med device sales was the OR time, the operating room time. Again, very dependent on the role that you have, the company that you work for, the product that you support. Some are way more OR heavy where you're supporting procedures. Some are not much at all. Now, most of the roles that I had were very OR heavy. And again, for somebody that really likes to be productive, do a lot of business oriented tasks, standing in procedures all day really just kind of tore at me. I mean, the thing is, many of the procedures that you're supporting can be 2 to 3 hours long where you're just standing there supporting the procedure and you don't have the ability to get anything else done other than being in the case. This is personally why I don't really recommend pursuing like orthopedic or trauma sales, is because that's pretty much exclusively the job. Now, as I ascended in my career in medical device, I pivoted into positions that were more capital focused. I got to do more of the business side that I really, really loved. But nonetheless, you couldn't avoid the OR time altogether. And sometimes you're there for 6 to 10 hours in a day. Again, that is definitely not the case every single day, guys. I just personally, it was not the area of the business that I really enjoyed. Now, the final downside to med device, the final truth that I would shed is the corporate initiatives, right? At the end of the day, you are working for a corporation. Now, this is more so specific to the large multi-billion-dollar blue chip corporations like Medtronic, Johnson & Johnson, so on and so forth. And you are at the behest of the corporate initiatives. You are at the behest of what they want you to do. And I will say in most positions, there's very little corporate interaction that you really need to have anyway. It's like a once a year corporate sales meeting and a once a quarter virtual sales meeting. But sometimes the corporate initiatives can really burn you as a sales rep. I have one specific example. So if you've been following me at all for a bit, you know that at one point in my med device career, I was actually the #1 rep in the country. I had taken my territory from 2.7 million to 4.7 million. And in 1 year, I actually did $1.3 million. And here's the thing is when you're in the medical device sales industry for several years, most top reps have that quote unquote breakout year. It's the 1 year where you absolutely destroy your territory from all those years of compounding. And that's the year that you typically make $300,000 to $400,000 plus. Now that was my breakout year, but unfortunately I wasn't rewarded for it because that just so happened to be the same year that the company launched and purchased this new product that they really wanted us to sell. And they tied all of our compensation and reward to this particular product. Now, I didn't see that product as being the biggest opportunity in my business, in my territory. So despite me actually knocking it out of the park in every possible capacity, I didn't really sell much of that product at all. And my income was tied to it. That should have been the year that I was rep of the year and in President's Club. And I wasn't. And that really burned me up as a sales rep because to me, that destroyed everything that it meant to be a top performing sales rep, which was to drive revenue and completely overachieve all metrics. Now, I could complain, but at the end of the day, it's my fault for not selling that product and focusing my time on that product. There are other external factors here. That product was actually way more difficult to sell because it didn't even have the proper reimbursement coding to sell it to the physician. So it really burned me up as a rep because part of it was truthfully not my fault. And myself and a lot of reps got burnt that year. Now, does that mean that I hate the industry and that I don't recommend it as one of the greatest career paths on the planet? No, not at all. So that was just one bad experience. So do I tarnish the entire industry for it? No, I still think that the pros significantly outweigh the cons in medical device with the income potential of $150,000 to $250,000 a year, the day-to-day autonomy, the impact, being able to support procedures, surgeries, build really great relationships with high level people, and the career runway and recession proof career for life. So finally, like, would I go back? I mean, absolutely. I'm at a point in my life where I'm in my early 30s, and Med Device Sales Academy, my consulting and coaching company to help people break into the industry, is really one of my last Hail Marys at starting an entrepreneurial or business venture for the time being, because I have aspirations of starting a family and settling down, and I really don't want to have this super unstable lifestyle of income and being responsible for other people's lives. So if for whatever reason this business does not pan out in the way that I wanted to in the future, yes, I would love to go back to Med Device because I got the thrill of being an entrepreneur with the stability of a full-time job in the world of medical device. I mean, it gave me pretty much everything that I wanted. I just thought the grass was greener. And again, I never would have known if I didn't try. So would I go back to medical device? Literally in a heartbeat. So guys, that's the truth on why I quit medical device sales. So if you're looking to break into medical device sales, this YouTube channel, this podcast, this is the best place to be for free information pertaining to landing your first high-paying role in the industry. Now, if you're struggling to break in and you're looking to do it as quickly as possible, then go ahead and tap the link in the description to consider joining Med Device Sales Academy. This is our one-on-one coaching and consulting program to work with you privately, individually, to fast track your process into the industry. We audit everything A to Z, from dialing in your personal brand, resume, LinkedIn, to networking effectively in the industry, to build a list of reps that invite you to opportunities before they even get posted, and then prepare to absolutely dominate the interview process. We've had people break in as quickly as 6 weeks. So with that being said, if that's of interest to you, just go ahead and click the link in the description, fill out a brief form, and book a call with the team to see if it's a fit. Otherwise, for free information, this podcast, this YouTube channel, the best place to be. Hope you found this valuable. Have a good day.